I need to lock back in. Hold on. We got Chang Nation.
What race wouldn't you date?
Asian.
Asian people.
Asian guys remind me of my
I don't think I could date an Asian guy again.
Let me tell you why you're here. What you know, you can't expect, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't quite know what it is.
I know what you're saying.
Like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this
Oh.
exact feeling that's been bringing you pain your entire life. That you're different than those around you.
Yeah.
You're not
feel
quite
that.
like those 6'2" white guys that everyone knows and loves, but you're also not quite like those entertainment powerhouses or elite athletes. Instead, you often feel passed up on the dating market, disrespected in everyday life, and used as the butt of jokes time and time again. We call this world you're living
See, I'm not gonna be that guy, but why he get the thinnest sunglasses?
in the Lou tricks. But what if I told you
Nah, never
that
mind.
this isn't the only reality that exists? This is your last chance. After this, there's no turning back. You take the blue pill, life continues, and you remain plugged in to your current reality. You take the yellow pill, and I'll show you the true potential you're capable of and the rules of the game. So which one are you gonna choose? Blue pill or yellow pill? What the fuck? I was just sleeping a minute ago, but anyways, I do want to recognize one of the goated movies, The Matrix. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it, but essentially the protagonist Neo is presented with two pills. The blue pill, he remains plugged in, and the red pill, or in this case the yellow pill, he sees the world for what it is.
But
I actually think the same
if I get my yellow pill, the power. Like, bro, this guy's.
case applies for
Yeah,
being
okay.
Asian American. I felt like for the longest time in my life, I was plugged in, and it wasn't until recently where I metaphorically took the yellow pill and I really started to accept and lean into my Asian identity. For context, I'm half Chinese, half Taiwanese, and I grew up in a predominantly white and Asian area. I feel like all of my life, it seemed like the more popular or cooler kids were never Asian. Whether this was at school or even outside of school, since I played competitive soccer growing up, and there were very few Asians on this soccer team. Now I know therapists and some of the softer stuff talks about childhood trauma, yada yada, and while I don't think that therapy and talking about things can really fix one's issue, I do think there's value and some truth behind all of this stuff, right? So hear me out. Growing up, I never really felt like I was one of the cool kids. It kind of made me subconsciously feel embarrassed of being Asian.
No. He was cooked. He's locked in though. He locked in though.
And as I grew older, this same theme started to
Black
translate
women.
into like every aspect of life, specifically dating. In terms of the dating market, I feel like I struggled a lot during the formative years, like in high school, when it's a critical period of a lot of guys' lives, where you know the A/B test, they get rejected essentially, right? They ask girls out, get rejected, and then learn how things work. I actually had a girlfriend this entire time, so it actually shielded me from a lot of the rejection I would eventually face in college. In college, I actually struggled a lot, right? Again, this theme carried over from childhood to high school to college.
Crazy.
I felt like first off, like Asians weren't that cool. You know, in college there's like fraternities and stuff, and there's like a negative correlation with how many Asian members were in a fraternity and like how cool that fraternity was, right, on that Greek scale. So it was really difficult because if you don't see like Asian guys portrayed positively in terms of in movies or even in real life, like a lot of Asian guys that I knew weren't really doing well in dating, you start to internalize these beliefs that it's a negative to be Asian. Even in my career, it seemed like there were very few Asians in higher up positions at whatever job I was working. Like with work, you know, the bamboo ceiling, I feel like a lot of Asians can get entry level positions or junior level positions, but when it comes to like that manager threshold,
up.
it's not as common as
fucked
other
up.
ethnicities. And just time and time again, I was faced with this reality that was portraying this picture where
I'm
it's not
seeing
cool to be
two,
Asian.
bro,
Like,
right now. I'm
Asians
not
aren't
gonna
cool.
lie to
So
you.
slowly throughout my life, I learned how to act non-Asian, really just blend in and assimilate to American culture. I started to watch sports that, quite frankly, I didn't care too much about, but you know, I was just learning the rules of the game, which teams to follow, just so I can blend in, right? I started going out every weekend after college, even though I didn't like the taste of alcohol. I stopped learning how to speak Chinese and felt embarrassed to be seen in public with my family and parents. In general, for a lot of my life, this Asian part of my identity, I felt like the better I was able at getting rid of
that's
it
so
and just
sad.
blending leaning in,
know
the
that's
more successful
true.
I'd be in life. So while I was able to achieve some surface level success with this strategy, such as, you know, I got into a fraternity in college, I got a girlfriend, I got a decent job, I still never really felt truly confident in myself. I just felt like there's one thing in terms of achieving results and getting like sort of lucky, and there's another thing in terms of like true mastery where you're so self-confident, you know, you can replicate the result again. Perhaps, you know, I just felt this way because I got lucky and, like I said, couldn't replicate the success, or maybe it was because I had to assimilate and shed my Asian identity to get the success.
Oh, now he's telling me too much. He's telling me way too much.
In terms of the yellow pill, I really took this pill, swallowed it. All right, that's hella. I really took this pill back in 2021.
I get
If you guys are new to
it.
my channel,
Among
basically,
Us.
I hired an Asian dating
Among
coach
Us.
because it was the first time in my life where I saw an Asian guy good with girls. I was like, oh, maybe being Asian is not such a bad thing. So I took this program. There's a lot of benefits for me. I started hitting cold approaches sober, like during the daytime. Girls were actually really receptive to me, so that really built my inner confidence in myself, and it became a feedback loop, right? I would like take action,
Yeah, that's
get
sauce.
decent results, like
He
not
not telling
negative
nobody
results.
the method, but he
feel
got the
more
sauce.
confident, take more
Oh,
action,
no.
etc. A
Come on,
byproduct of
check
this
the
experience
Rizzo.
was I met Kevin Tang from Asia. He was like the first Asian guy I met in my life, really, that was like kind of like an older brother figure. I feel like up until that point, I didn't really have any positive Asian role models. It was actually like quite paradigm shifting, right? So before like I took the yellow pill or whatever, I just thought that Asians weren't cool. I didn't have any Asian friends. I had all white friends, didn't date Asian girls and find them attractive. But then, once I met Kevin, I took the leap of faith, wasn't happy with my life at the time, moved down to
he said, "Give me
Vegas,
some
lived in
of
the
that
Amped house.
yellow."
I felt like my life completely
He said,
changed
"Let
after
me
that.
get some of that
Since
nunu."
I don't know if it was just because I was surrounded by cool
Ooh.
Asians, I really expanded my network, met a lot of cool people. I just stopped feeling like self-conscious about being Asian. Contrast that to before, where I felt like constantly I would be getting like subliminal messages or subtle cues that being Asian's not cool. Like you get this from like every aspect of life, like even the fucking lose, right?
I've never found an Asian guy attractive.
Asian guys remind me of my brother.
I don't think I could date an Asian guy again.
The reason I call it the lose isn't because I give a shit who these
Scary.
girls date. I call these girls out because even if they think that like some of these comments are harmless, if you hear it time and time again, I'm just thinking about like my past self 10 years ago, like, I get told like, oh, I wouldn't date Asian guys because they're my brother, like all these little things. It adds up and it really affects your like
Yeah,
self-confidence,
it's kinda weird.
especially as like a young man,
That's
right? So my hope is in calling
They
this stuff
think it
out,
like that.
these girls stop doing that. Like they can have those
Ugh.
opinions. I don't really give a shit what they do. Like I really could care less, but I don't want these lose like running around and polluting the minds of younger Asian guys, right? A byproduct of moving into the Amped house and living in Vegas was I really stopped viewing my race as like a bad thing. I actually started playing ping pong as well, and I feel like ping pong's a sport where like it's actually cool to be Asian. As a result of playing ping pong, I started speaking
guys,
Chinese more.
aura.
In general, I
There's a
felt
little
like
aura.
once I started accepting my Asian identity after taking the yellow pill that essentially Kevin showed me, everything started clicking. I feel like nowadays when I wake up, I don't really feel, actually, I'm proud to be Asian. My YouTube channel is called like Chang Nation. If I was like not proud to be Asian, I would call it, not Chang Nation. All right,
That's a
cut
safe
that out again.
answer. I was waiting for him to say something like Smith.
So anyways, you're Asian, right? If you're an Asian
Whoa.
person, and no matter how non-Asian you
Yeah.
act, you're always gonna
Yeah,
be
that's-
Asian at the
that's
core.
me.
And I feel like it's
That's me.
important to just lean into that and make it into a strength. So for me, I think once I started leaning into that fact of being Asian, like as a guy, the fact that I work out, the fact that I feel like I'm pretty articulate for an Asian guy, always working on myself, trying to do cool things, making YouTube videos, just like living life, right, in an interesting manner, I feel like that in turn makes me more attractive when it comes to dating. That coupled with good online dating profile pictures, by doing like a professional photo shoot, I eventually got a girlfriend. So this stuff's really not that hard, to be honest. Like looking back, now that I can like see the
Yeah,
Lutrix or
sexy
Matrix or whatever you
buff-ass
want to call
Asian
it, you
guy.
kind of understand the rules of the game, right?
Come
Being
on.
Asian's not a bad thing,
That's what you
but
wanna
in
say.
certain contexts,
You-
what you can't
that's what you
control,
wanna
you're
say.
gonna be at a disadvantage. Like there's gonna be girls out there that don't date Asian guys. There's gonna be people out there that just don't like Asians for whatever reason. You can apply this to anything. There's gonna be people that don't like short guys, right? You can't control that outcome, but what you can control is like how you react to these situations. Before I had more of a victim mindset, whereas now I have more of a growth mindset, more of a mindset of agency. Like I know I
Yes.
can control the outcome of my
He's
life,
cool
and I think
getting
that's the
yelled at
purpose
in a
of like
racist
this whole
manner,
yellow pill
right?
analogy is when you see the worst in what can happen, it actually gives you a positive
will
perspective,
develop
right?
from that
Because you
bond.
realize a lot of the times the nasty people in life are a minority, right? So the Lou example, these Lou's, they're like a small minority of Asian girls. I think most Asian girls actually probably prefer dating Asian guys, but these Lou's are just a very outspoken minority, and they kind of
Yeah.
seem like the reality
Yeah,
is
they're
the Lou narrative
tall
or
white
the Lou
guys.
tricks. So when you see these things and like notice these patterns
Like
and observations,
motherfucking
you realize like there's actually a lot you can do in your own life to
sketch.
really level up, whether it's
Tim Burton
fitness,
looking
right,
ass.
career, dating, making friends, side business, hobbies. Everything is actually in your control, no matter your situation. And that's why I'm really passionate about making these type of videos to serve as a one-stop shop that I wish I had when I was 10 years younger, right? When I was really struggling in life, freshman year of college, early adulthood, I didn't really find my community, didn't find my tribe. And that's why I host like a Chang Nation retreat every few months, is because I feel there's a lot of power in connecting with like-minded individuals, because when you see other guys doing cool things, it actually makes you more motivated to do cool things in your own life. In my case, I was previously surrounded by friends that weren't into self-improvement. They just like to drink and watch TV, consume things. But then once I took the leap of faith, moved to Vegas, surrounded myself with people who are always doing cool things, it really rewired my brain. Instead of thinking like, I'm gonna make a YouTube video today, I'm thinking like, how can I make the best YouTube video today? Instead of just trying to take action, you start getting to the next level where it's how can you optimize that said action? I think after college, it's really difficult to meet friends. So the Chang Nation retreat is really a way for Asian guys to streamline their process or progress of making friends. Because let's face the reality, a lot of Asian guys are successful in their career, you know, they're making like 6 figures, they're doing well, but they just don't have like the dating and relationship aspect of their life figured out. So as someone who's kind of gone through the trenches, figured out what's working, what hasn't, you know, I put together this retreat where it's like super action packed. You do photo shoots, you get really good pictures, never have to take pictures again. So you're gonna get the online dating matches, you meet cool guys, so you can find like people that eventually you can travel with. You know, maybe you'll move to a different city and I can connect you with someone I know from my network. And then most importantly, you take action. Taking action in life is very momentum driven. So in my own life, when I make YouTube videos, I try to make 2 to 3 at a time, because I know that the first video I'm gonna be a little rusty and a little awkward on camera, but then second and third video, you know, I'm spitting bars like I'm a fucking freestyle rapper, like I'm Cold Quan, you know, shout out Asian American rapper. But in general, a lot of things in life are just momentum driven. If you start going on dates, like you get better at dating. If you start hitting the gym, eventually you just like get into this role where it's rinse and repeat, just progressive overload, you get jacked. If you start losing weight, you lose a few pounds the first week, you keep going, eventually you lost 20 to 30 pounds. I just think in general, the process of improving at anything is actually really simple. It's just like progressive overload applied to whatever domain you're at. But the tricky part is getting started. And I think for us Asian guys and Asian people, when we're told to keep our head down, do the work, when we're told to not break out of the mold, when you're told to just conform to the expectation that society paints on you, it can be really hard to start doing things that give you purpose. That's why I think it's really important to metaphorically take the yellow pill in your own life, whether that's leading into your Asian identity, whether that's speaking up more in social situations because you're quiet, whether that's doing a photo shoot, even though it looks dumb, but you know that the photos are gonna get you more matches on online dating, hence streamline the process. Whatever that is, just you gotta take the pill, take the yellow pill, see reality for what it is, and then start taking action. For me, that's what I wish I did earlier in life, but I'm glad I figured it out eventually. And for you, hopefully, you know, if you're watching this video right now, you can start doing that in your own life. I'll leave you guys with that, the yellow pill. Take it or stay plugged in.
I love Chang Nation.
Oh, shit. What a weird dream. Ooh.
Yeah. This is my goat right here. Oh my god.
Is it better to date?
This is my goat right here. I want to smell. Never get off. So eat.
If you click on this video, chances are you're probably an Asian guy wondering whether it's better to date white girls or Asian girls.
That's so
Today's
true.
your lucky day, since that's actually the topic of this
That's what
video.
I'm doing.
Is I
That's
talk
me.
about the main differences between dating a white girl versus Asian girl, and ultimately give my recommendation on which one is the best option for you.
Yes,
Now, you might be wondering why you should listen to me. I've gone on a ton of dates in the past. I've dated white girls, dated Asian girls. From these experiences,
no Latinas, no black, no light skins, no brown skins, no Arabs, no Indians, just right white and Asian. That's all he going for. This guy's an animal.
actually quite embarrassing to admit, since I spent a lot of time going on dates. And I have actually found some key differences in terms of dating white girls versus dating Asian girls. And that's the whole reason I want to make this video.
Was that
inform you guys of these differences and ultimately help you guys decide what's the best option for you. Disclaimer, these are just from my personal experiences. You know, I'm sure everyone's different. Humans are individual. I'm just talking about my experience dating white girls versus Asian girls. And, you know, now that we got that out of the way, let's just dive right in. The first difference I noticed is that Asian girls are more straightforward. What I mean by this is they make their intentions known. Specifically, if they don't like you, they'll let you know. I mean, look at the Loos, right?
I've never found an Asian guy attractive. It's just preference. Like,
Okay, the Lous are a bad example, but in general, I don't know if it's like one of those
Yeah, it's
situations where
Lowk.
since Asian moms tend to be really
Lowk.
savage and straightforward,
Come
they
on.
kind of just tell things how it is. I feel like Asian girls also have this trait. So they're less likely to play games compared to white girls. Now, don't get me wrong, there are Asian girls that play games, such as like the ABG rape type of girls, but in general, I just
What does that mean? What the fuck?
feel like Asian girls are more direct. I have a funny story, right? Like even my mom, okay, that's kind of weird talking about my mom in a dating context, but I feel like when I came home from college one time, she told me I was super fat. Like every time I come back, she's just laying down the law. That's also like indicative with Asian girls. Like if they're not interested, they're gonna let you know. The second difference is Asian girls are more ambitious and long-term thinking. So what I mean by this is I'm not saying all Asian girls are more ambitious than white girls, but I have noticed that when Asian girls are going through the dating
that's
process,
supporting
they
the
value more
buddies
than just
right
looks.
now.
In general with dating, there's always
Oh,
a baseline
no.
level of attraction you need to fulfill, but I also feel like Asian girls tend to look
he's
at
not fucking with the
a
buddies,
longer
and I thought he'd be a
horizon, right?
snowtrooper.
You're looking at, okay, is this guy
Oh,
stable?
no.
Does he have a good career? Is he gonna make a good father? It's basically just like stuff that is more long-term thinking and planning, right? Whereas I feel like with white girls, they tend to be more like feels or reveals. They're caught up in the moment, and they probably put a bigger emphasis on looks and short-term attributes. They also probably care a lot about what their friends think in terms of, oh, is this guy like, you know, super good looking? Is he clouded, influencer? Just a few short-term attributes. Whereas with girls, they care more about the perception from a stability standpoint. Like, is this someone I'm happy to bring home to my parents? So that's just something I've noticed, like when I'm dating like different types of girls, is Asian girls tend to be more long-term thinking, whereas white girls eventually they get to the long-term thinking aspect, but first they go through a period of like more kind of short-term feels over reels, and then I guess once they decide that they like a guy, that's kind of when they think about the long term. That's probably why in certain situations, dating an Asian girl versus dating a white girl is totally different. A lot of Asian girls actually won't even date on.
Well, I just realized, is this just like? Well, wait. Is this not just like? Is this some hidden subculture I found of like Asian guys growing up? Is this like the Asian pill pipeline? I need to know if this is an actual like thing. Like, do people watch Chang Nation like that?
Dating apps. I feel like they're much more social circle type of people. You know, meet people through friends organically, whereas I feel like white girls will be more open to dating apps. The third difference is Asian girls are more cultured and family centric. If you go out to eat with an Asian girl, she's probably much more adventurous with her taste buds and willing to try that hole-in-the-wall place, such as like that Chinese restaurant that has no reviews. Whereas I feel like with white girls, they tend to be safer with food options, especially Asian cuisines. So you probably want to stick to like more Americanized places, fusions. You know, they probably think like the orange chicken at PF Chang's is good. Whereas like the Asian girl, you know, that's not gonna fly. In general, I just think like when it comes to food and culture, Asian girls tend to have much more their own culture versus like American girls, which I feel like American culture is kind of all the same. And even on the family side of things, I've noticed that like Asian people are much more willing to put the effort in if things aren't going right. This might be due to the fact that in East Asian culture, you're taught to work hard, put the work in, whereas for some reason with white people, I feel like they're much quicker to throw the towel in. You see this reflected in the fact that Asians have a much higher marriage rate as well as a lower divorce rate than white people, just from my own personal experience.
Oh my God.
It's very rare that I have Asian friends who have divorced parents, whereas I feel like it's very common for white households to just have like single parents, right? And I think the reason this is the case is because even if Asian parents are having conflict and problems, they want to do what's best for their kids at the end of the day. And I actually think this is just reflected with Asian girls. They really value their family. They really value hard work, dedication, working through problems. There are white girls that do the same thing, but in general, I've kind of noticed this pretty big difference.
He don't fuck with the buddies.
This is just my observation. Obviously, I'm generalizing.
This is like the fifth disclaimer.
Plenty of white girls,
Asian girls,
plenty of Asian girls that suck. There are plenty of girls out there that defy these generalizations, but just a general trend I've noticed are these differences, which are number one, Asian girls are more straightforward. Number two, Asian girls are more long-term thinking. And number three, Asian girls are more cultured and family-centric. Now, what's my take on it? I actually think there's no right answer. At the end of the day, anyone can and should date. Dating is one of those things where it's so individualistic. I actually really hate generalizations on this topic. Ironically, I'm making a video like talking about generalizations, but I'm kind of doing this more from like a educational standpoint in terms of like what to expect in terms of dating, you know, white girls versus Asian girls. Because the truth of the matter is there is quite a difference in dating these two type of girls, and I think it's important to know the differences. Honestly, you should just date whoever you're attracted to. If you like white girls better, then date white girls.
I don't want us to get caught up. He's like, I got you, my child. Just listen to me.
If you like Asian girls better, then date Asian girls. Whoever you're trying to date, you gotta really understand that there's a different approach. For example, with white girls, you're probably gonna have to be higher energy, be more fun, spontaneous, outgoing. Whereas, you know, with Asian girls, you can probably just be quieter, less silly, crazy, and you know, just based off what they value, the strategy and approach you use probably has to tweak quite a bit. For me personally, I've noticed that as I've grown older,
Want a washer at that price? You want the Home Depot.
My fucking floor, bro. Oh my god.
there exists two type of people in life.
Fuck.
The
You know
critic.
what? That's the end of fucking. Oh my god, I gotta go to sleep.